What's good, y'all? It's your boy Jarod and your girl Gabby back for another episode of the Kicks and Shit Show, episode 41. Bam, 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 bam. Ooh, you see how you
nice.
You were feeling good today, man. Like, the vibes are happening. We're out here in these streets. Speaking of streets, Gabby, what's going on in those streets?
Well, Jarod, since we last spoke, not a lot has changed. I haven't seen a lot of the streets, but, it was Valentine's Day. I tried to, make an appearance. I had to wear red sneakers because, duh.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, did you wear Toros?
No, I actually didn't wear my Toros. There's still a lot of salt and sand on the ground from the snow.
See, you agree with me. You do not want to...
I'm not saying that there are no sneakers that can be worn outside, though. That's where I do not agree with you. I just want to clarify, there were no duck boots on Valentine's Day. You girls got to look at least a little cute. And I love my Lunar Force duck boots. Shouts to Nike for making cute duck boots. Gerard, we got to get you a pair. They come in all sorts of colors. But still had to represent with a little bit of red. So I wore my black toe ones. I feel like that's a classic pair.
Mm-hmm. Can't
go wrong with them. I know a lot of people on the interwebs say that ones are for rain only. Don't quite agree with that, but that's okay.
Wait. People on the interwebs say ones are for rain only?
I mean, it's a joke. I don't think they actually mean it specifically for rain, but I think it's because they're not as expensive. They're very trendy at the moment, but compared to my Toro 4s, the suede, I'm not going to wear those in the rain.
Ask me if I'll wear ones in any inclement weather.
Man, are you going to wear ones in any nice
Hell
weather?
no. You know that. Well, nice weather, yes. But inclement weather, you know the answer to that.
I know ones aren't always your bag, so there's no judgment or no shade either way.
It don't, look, if it's Jordan brand, if it's Puma, it don't matter what brand it is. If there's inclement weather, I'm not wearing sneakers. I'm just not.
I know we talk about this literally every week, so sorry to everybody listening who's probably tired of Gerard and I having the same argument. I know we sound
it's a discussion. I don't think it's an argument.
Married couple.
It's a discussion. I don't think it's an argument. We're discussing.
A debate, one might say. But you know what, Gerard?
Yes.
One of these days, I might surprise you with a pair of Nike duck boots because I know you're not going to pay for them on your own, but what baby wants, baby gets. I'm going to manifest them for you, okay?
I love how you're I know you're not going to pay for them on your own. Listen.
Self-awareness is a beautiful thing.
Right. We are who we are, man. What's up to all my comps and plugs out there? Appreciate you.
Yeah, maybe someday you'll give them my number. But it's okay. Until that day, I'm happy to support the industry. And even then, I will still continue to support because, sneaker shopping, the culture has expanded so much during this time that, it's now about the full fit. My sock game has expanded, still needs a lot of work, but I'm going outside of my normal bounds. And I think it's interesting because there's a lot of great heat that's coming out this month. And I don't know about you, Gerard. I try to play into the sneaker gods, and I don't go for shoes that
everyone else is going for.
No, shoes that I'm not really interested in wearing.
Oh, okay.
Just because they're fire.
Yeah.
So hopefully my sneaker god karma is working for the silver toe ones.
Mm-hmm.
I've already made a few calls to a few people, like our girl Dolly at Sinners Love Sneakers. Shouts to them. Just because, I'm trying to be choiceful and give the people a chance. Like how you don't go for women's launches, Gerard. I'm trying to do my part in society. But I have to ask you, what's going on in these streets for you?
Well, funny you should ask. Well, no, because we're talking about new launches and stuff. And, look, and everyone jokes, Draw, why are you always trying to get free stuff? Because, that's my favorite price, $3.99. Who doesn't like free stuff? Hello. But I do think I'm going to do, well, we're going to talk about this later with our guest because I did enter a raffle recently, unsuccessfully, but it's okay. I entered.
I am sick right now.
I was unsuccessful. We'll talk about that raffle. Don't you worry. But I am thinking about seriously trying to get my hat in the ring and pay money. I'm going to have to talk to a plug. But there is a launch that I'm particularly interested in that I think I'm going to go after. And it is the cool gray 3s. I really like that colorway. I think the yellow and the red accent's really nice. And it's a shoe that I will wear. We talk about this. Dead stock, livestock. Really, unless it's a super crazy collector pair or something, but even then, if it's not gifted again, sorry, I don't know if I'm going to spend thousands of dollars on it. But the cool gray 3s, I'd rock those for sure. So definitely a pair that I would wear out in the streets. So I'm going to do my best to, I mean, all I can do is go on sneakers and, try to buy and see what happens.
Yep. I mean, it's crazy out there that this game has changed so much that resale is the focus over retail. And shouts to companies like eBay who have no fees for sellers or buyers, and Another Lane who is doing the same and rocking it out. I mean, you know how we love Another Lane here. Just because you get pairs that you can't find anywhere else. And for us, it's all about the story. It's all about the why. So shouts to Chad and Adina for bringing that to life in a platform to give that experience to other people. But other than that, I mean, there's a lot out there that there's price gouging. I think all the craziness with the Carmines over the weekend,
Nuts.
And it's $30 more on StockX right now. Was it worth it?
Probably not. Probably not.
And it's Carmines are a classic pair. I think they're a great collection edition for anyone, whether you're new or OG in the sneaker game. But the Stampedes.
And that was crazy, right? And again, we'll talk about this with our guests. I mean, first of all, we're in the middle of a pandemic. And people bum rush the New York City Nikes, and I was like, guys, look, I'm not saying don't get amped. Of course, we have a show about sneakers, so Gabby gets amped. We love it, but really, people, we really serious with that stuff out here? Come on, it's not that crazy. But I wonder how much of it is because of the sneaker resale market, right? And the idea of, well, now I got to pay $100 more for a shoe that only retails for $180. And look, I was going to say I'm not anti-capitalist. I kind of am. But in the sense of, I understand people have to make a living, but there are people out there who really, this ain't about making a living, right? This is literally about just gouging and going on Instagram and flexing with your 8,000 boxes of whatever shoes you got from your bots. And and I'm not really here for that. Well, I know we're not here for that.
Correct. I agree with that a lot. I think that it makes it so much harder for the buyer to get a pair if they genuinely want one. I mean, we talked about that last week with Jixie too, that it's so much harder to get your hands on a pair. And now there's all these other sizes. And, so many resellers target the smaller sizes because they know that they're going to do really well, especially for females. So I think adding that extra layer too is another challenge that we have to figure out collectively. I don't know what the answer is. It's an industry issue. And, we just have to be better. And I hope that this resale bubble eventually pops. And once people realize that, it's not worth going crazy over certain pairs to make an extra $20, maybe things will level out. Maybe I'm also naively optimistic.
No,
That's definitely possible too.
But it's funny what you just said. And this is really a sort of a mantra for life. We just need to be better, right? In just literally everything, right? We just need to be better. If we, shout out to Coach Thorpe on True Hoop. One of the things that Coach Thorpe always says is, it's not hard to be decent, right? It's really all we're looking for is if people can just be decent, we'd be in a lot better shape just about everywhere.
I mean, I agree with you. The standards are real high in America. Be
decent.
Not even be good. Not even be great.
Decent.
We'll settle for decent.
Right? That's a low bar, I think, for us to do.
You'd be surprised, though, Jarod. I try to settle for decent in my dating life and, still out here in these streets. I wasn't made for the streets. I know people might think otherwise, but I was not made for the streets. Not in that regard.
I was not made for the streets. Love it. Well, folks, on that note, stay tuned because we have a very, very cool guest coming up next. He's someone that's in the creative space in terms of creating content around the sneaker industry. He's got a dope Substack newsletter that I really think everyone who cares about sneakers, who just want to learn about it, should really check out. So stay tuned. What's good, everybody? Your boy Jarod and your girl Gabby are back. And Gabby, we are not alone. We are joined by Michael Sykes. He is a journalist, digital content creator in the sneaker space. He has a Substack newsletter called The Kicks You Wear. I'm telling you, the first time I read this thing, I was like, man, this guy's just talking the truth out here. I love it. Now, Michael, I have to admit, if you're talking the truth, these brands can't be loving that you're telling all their dirty business out there.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten a few messages, and with letting me know, not even directly from brands, but just people who let me know that they're not happy that you said this. But at the end of the day, I don't really care. They don't pay me, so it is what it is, kind of.
You out here for the truth.
Real combos, absolutely.
Yeah,
totally
exactly. I think my biggest thing with the newsletter is like I have to be authentic to the audience first, like before anybody else, you know. And if I'm out here sort of just hyping up drops and telling people like, yeah, like not giving people the real business, then I feel like I'm doing everyone that's reading a disservice. So I do my best to kind of stay in my lane and not veer too far off, but I think I'm doing a pretty solid job.
You certainly are, and it's a newsletter that's read and followed by a lot of people in the sneaker industry and a lot of like influential people. I know that for sure. But I want to begin at the beginning, of course, because this is how these things work. When did you first fall in love with sneakers, man? Where did this come from?
Yeah, honestly, it's been a lifelong thing for me. I remember I always like find like different points where at different points in time where like I kind of fell in love with all this. Like I remember being in first grade where like my mom had bought me my first pair of newbies, a pair of New Balances, some 990s, and like I wanted to wear that shoe all through the house. Like I would go back to the crib, like come home from school and go back to the house, and my mom would be like you're supposed to take your shoes off at the door, and I'm just like walking through the house in mine, like it's like those are house shoes. You take those off. I'm like, but mom, I really like these. So that's like one of the memories that I have, and then like the other one is like in what grade was I in? I think I was in 10th grade in 2007, where like the Aqua 8s were coming out, and I saw them. Like I'd always been a big Jordan guy, but like my parents would buy me like Team Jordans. Like I never really had like a 1 or 2 or 3 or anything like that, which was like fine. Like Team Jordans are dope. Like I don't want to disparage that or anything. But anyway, like I saw these 8s and I was just like, yo, I gotta have these. And so like I cut lawns, I shoveled snow, like I did whatever I had to do to get the money to get them kicks, and I bought them, and that was the first pair that I bought with my own money, and like the feeling that I got from that was just magical, and ever since I've just been chasing that, honestly.
See that? It's like drugs, right? You just try to get that first high. It's like, but you know how that works. It never gets you on the comeback, man. That's how it works.
That's
why I've had a number of Saturdays ruined.
Okay, you are not alone in that sense. I'm telling you, you're not alone.
So obviously, you know, you can't talk about sneakers and escape Jordan Brand. You mentioned him. He's hanging behind you on a photo on the wall. That's that iconic dunk pose right there, which of course is, you know, that's where the Jumpman logo comes from. You know, what is it? What's the connection for you to sports, right? Was it a thing where you always loved sports too? Or were you like, oh man, sneakers got you into basketball? Or you were like, nah, I love basketball. And man, look at these kicks these dudes are wearing.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. It's kind of like a chicken and the egg thing with me, right? Like, I think, like, my first real introduction to sports was, like, my dad sitting me down at, to watch, we were watching the 98 finals. I was 6 years old, and he's like, yo, like, this is the greatest of all time. This is Michael Jordan. You need to watch this. If you like basketball, like this is the person you should watch. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Like I didn't really know what I was watching, but like I knew that it was supposed to be this big thing. And like I guess that kind of stuck with me. But like where I feel like my story really begins with like sports and sneakers is with Allen Iverson. Like I had always been a huge fan of AI. Just being from the DMV and knowing that he was from here too, it was like I wanted to be him. He was short, I'm short. Like he was like, you know, like everything about him, I just loved. And like my parents had bought me a pair of Answers for school one year, and like, you know, that was the greatest shoe ever to me at the time. And like that was the first time that I realized that like there was a real tie-in with basketball and sneakers. And so being the NBA fan, being the basketball fan that I was back then, it always sort of just came naturally for me and just continued to progress as I got older.
And, tapping into the Iverson things, I think that's so interesting. And I imagine around the time that Iverson was entering the league and becoming who he was, you were in your formative years, right? Like as a kid. So how important was it seeing someone that, kind of represented a vibe and an aesthetic that you potentially were down with, right? Because think about it, Jordan, 98, you were 6, and he was already out the league by the time you really were like, all right, let me figure out what's going on. And plus, Jordan was a corporate dude, right? Would rock his suits, right. Nice suits, but like, if you're that age, that's not what you're talking about, right? You're like, yo, man, I'm gonna get these cornrows and like the do-rag, right. And like, right? Like, so how much of that was an influence for you?
Yeah, man, that was huge, honestly. Like it showed me that like you could be who you were in whatever setting, which like totally doesn't feel like true all the time, especially in every circumstance. But for me to see him just be his authentic self at all times, even in the middle of a game, to get his hair done in the middle of the game, right? Like that's insane. But like at the same time, it's like, man, that reminds me of me and my mom, or this reminds me of my cousin. Like, this is how I dress. This is how I want to look, and that was just so incredible to me. Like I'd never seen anything like it. I'd never wanted to be anybody more. Like everyone was like, yo, I want to be like Mike. And like, yo, Jordan's my GOAT. So like, I can't disparage anybody for that. But like AI, like that's the dude that I was like, yo, I want to be like that. Like, yeah, that was my guy, man. Shouts
I love that. Are there players out there today that you think have that same kind of vibe that are really embracing their authentic self?
It's hard to say now because I feel like everything is sort of we're in this space where like branding is so important for athletes, and like everyone is so self-aware of their own brand and how something looks. The one guy I will say that I do respect a lot for just kind of remaining him and doing whatever he wants to do is Kyrie Irving. Like he's the guy that I see today. Like I think he's Iverson for a lot of kids out there today. Like he doesn't care what people think. He doesn't care what people say. Like he just does him. Like he'll take 2 weeks off from playing basketball for the Nets because like he just needs a mental break. Like he'll sage the court because like that's just what he does. Like that's how he wants to come in and prepare for a game. And like that's really cool to me. Like I just think all of that is cool, and that shows you like no matter what race, religion, creed you come from or who you are, what you're about, like you can be that person in the biggest moments of your life at all times. And I just think that's so cool, man. Kyrie's dope for that.
Authenticity. And as Kevin Durant said, Kyrie probably sages his living room before he plays 2K. So I don't know, like whatever. That's just what he does.
yeah. Which is like that was the hilarious.
I was dying when I saw that. I was like, you're wild for that.
But I could see it though. Like that's
100%.
That's their dynamic. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I'm really loving the BFF vibe that I'm getting from the
Nets. Man, it's a nice thing. There's so much like connected to this basketball, sneakers. It's just they all go hand in hand in lockstep. And we talked about Jordan, how that's like that's such a brand that everybody knows. Now, in one of your recent The Kicks You Wear newsletters, you talked about the Trophy Room ones and, the release for that. And I'm just going to say for all the KNS listeners out there, now, Michael, you may not know this, but not even a running joke because it's true. The reality of it is Jarod does not pay for sneakers. No, who's my plug? Who's hooking me up? Whatever, cool. Am I getting comp? Nice. Whatever. But I was like, these Trophy Room ones, I might try to get these though, right? Okay. So I see the little alerts coming up. I'm like, all right, make sure I go on the site at whatever time, 10 a.m., pull out my thing, cool. I get on the site, 10 a.m. I'm like, man, where's this format? Scroll in. Maybe I'm like, refresh. I was on Chrome. I was like, all right, maybe Chrome's messed up. Let me go ahead and go over to Safari, see if that's better. Not on Safari. Let me go download Firefox real quick. Maybe it's not working on either of these. Nothing. And then we get a note. Oh, it's an email raffle now. And I'm like, here's my question. How did you think? And I don't even know what the amount of pairs were. Maybe 10,000. A very limited release, right? Okay.
Yeah.
How would you not prepare your server site and your website to have the influx of traffic that is coming when you make an announcement like trophy room ones that aren't even connected to Jordan Brand like that, right? Like, yeah, it's like, okay, we got them, but it's literally from the trophy room, right? From Michael Jordan's living room. Like, that blew my mind. I was like, what's happening here? And I saw this stuff on the internet. People just going crazy, roasting Marcus Jordan, roasting trophy room. I was like, oh, this is... See, this is why I don't mess around with this stuff, these raffles, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I think that's a unique situation, but would love to hear your thoughts, definitely. Now that we know Jarod's thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Jarod. Like, that was just a pure dumpster fire. Like, it was really bad. And I mean, it's tough, right? Because, like, obviously, like, you have 12,000 pairs available. It's gonna be scarce. Like, someone's leaving this thing upset, right? Like, everyone's not gonna get these pairs. But at the same time, it's like, yo, like, y'all had, like, we've known these shoes were coming for months. For months now. We've seen them, like, they've been floating around the internet. Like, y'all have had a release date in mind for a while. And for the raffle entry form to break, for it to switch to an email raffle, and for the inbox to be full, like, it was just unprecedented stuff. It just seemed like they were just so ill prepared for this thing, and it was so disappointing because this was one of the most highly anticipated drops of the year, and for them to sort of just fumble the bag like this, it's like, yo, like, I don't know, man. Like, why? It's like it just reminded me of why, like, I have this love-hate relationship with the sneakers app and these raffles and just everything that sort of revolves around the industry. Like, it's just endlessly frustrating.
Oh, I mean, I feel you. Jarod, I just want to say I'm really proud of you for putting yourself out there. I don't necessarily think that's the best example of, rolling the dice because it was such a limited launch. But, like, this is big progress, you guys.
Listen, I'm trying, man. I'm out here,
You are doing, my friend.
And what's funny? But Gabby, really quick, I thought what Michael said something really interesting, and I know you're going to follow up on this point too. It wasn't like I was expecting to win. That's not really what it was. I expected the experience to just be fine, right? Like, if the form worked and they said, got your thing, and if the email went through or whatever, got it, and I lost, I'd be like, whatever. But the fact that, like, it wasn't working, I was like, well, what? That made the thing so sour to me. Not even about the shoe. That made the process sour.
Of course. And I think, like, I told you when I tried to get the ambush dunks, the black and white pair, originally I was on a minute early and it said sold out at 9:59. And I'm like, wait a second. How is that possible? And then all of a sudden I refreshed my app and I was in line. Like, I feel like we've been in this position of pandemic shopping now for almost a year, which is wild. But why are the systems not better? We know that this is how most people are consuming. I mean, I think the Carmines were a unique situation that people actually went to the store and stampeded in for that classic pair. I mean, we both have thoughts about that we talked about earlier in this show about that too. But online shopping is the way of the world right now. And the fact that we still can't seem to figure it out, it's just a miss for brands. So I don't know what the solve is, but I hope we get there.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, to me, it always comes down to, like, there are systems in place where this stuff works, right? Like, we've seen this stuff work before. And so, like, as Gabby said, it's like, why do we keep going through these same old issues? Like, when we have workable solutions there, when we've seen, like, different raffle systems work or different drawing systems work and different bot protection strategies work, like, it's just, that's what makes it frustrating to me, because, like, I know that these brands have the capability and the capacity to make this stuff work well, and they just don't. And it's like, all right, well, like, it comes down to me, like, making a choice of whether I'm going to try and continue to go forward with this kind of thing or not,
Yeah.
And that's frustrating.
I actually was going to ask you, do you find that less people are trying to buy these sneakers knowing that it's basically impossible for some of these lotteries and raffles these days?
Honestly, no. Like people still the people that I talk to, the people that read the newsletter, they're always frustrated with how the sneakers app works, or like how such and such raffle works, or like Adidas confirmed or whatever. And it's like, y'all, like, you know what it is at this point. Like I can't they things should change, yes, but they haven't changed yet. And so it's like it comes to a point where you have to make a decision for yourself of whether you're just going to continue to go through this same cycle, or if you're going to just shift your interest into something else. And like that's an easier thing. That's easier to say than it is to do, especially in this climate where like we do have certain shoes sort of pushed in our faces, and we're made to want certain kicks, right? But like there's a lot of heat out there for people to get, and it's readily available, and I just try to encourage people like, yo, like maybe you don't have to go for every single one of these hype drops. Like maybe you can just find something else that satisfies you in that same way. I don't know.
I think that's part of it too, right? It's so much of it is that it's the hype beast culture, right? And the idea of like, yo, I got to get on these, and like you understand and you get it, because in many ways those collabs and like those are the fly shit, right? That's the stuff that looks fire, and it's like that's where they put like, all right, let's really work on the design here. Whereas like some other release, you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna get ahead with that, right? But it's this interesting sort of relationship people have, and you see it on Twitter all the time, or on Instagram. People are like, nah, man, I'm breaking up a sneakers app today, whatever. Like I'm deleting, I'm done. And I've seen people post on Saturdays like, during a drop, like, my life is so much happier now, not worrying about whether I'm getting to take an L or whatever. I'm like at wherever I'm at, eating a bagel, whatever they're doing, like not worried about if they're gonna get the sneaker, because that part's so frustrating. But there's still enough people there that are doing it, right? That are still in the sneakers app. So it's a very much, I mean, and really at its core, right? It's a supply demand issue, right? I mean, that's ultimately what it's about. You have literally millions of people who want X. We only have 100,000, right? So to your point, Michael, most people are leaving unhappy because that's just how it's going to be. But I do think if the process seemed fairer or just going off without a hitch, I think you'd have a lot less people complaining, right? Like they'd be like, all right, I lost, you know?
No, I completely agree. I want to go back for a second because I know you're from the DMV, and we talked about your first pair of sneakers being New Balance. I mean, in New York, you have the Uptowns, we've got our Nikes, our Jordans. Like, there's a very specific culture based on where you're from. And, this is something that I'm still learning more about, New Balance in the DMV. And, like, it's a thing. So I'd love for you to talk more about that and, what you're liking from New Balance since then, because they've been doing a lot of cool stuff lately.
Yep.
Yeah. So New Balance in the DMV is like that for as long as I can remember. Honestly, that's been a thing. Like I remember seeing my older cousins like having pairs as I was growing up, and like it's weird because it is like such a chunky looking, like dad looking shoe, but like down here it's that look is so fly, man. Like it's what it is. It's like the 990s, the 992s, and like the foam posits are like DMV staples down here, and it's weird, man. Like people have their theories about where it sort of originated, and like how that trend sort of started down here. And like the one that I hear the most is that like when well, I don't know if I should get into it because like there's like illegal activity involved.
So go with it.
Like it's
safe space.
So like, okay. So in the 80s when like Rayful Edmond was a drug kingpin in the DMV, like that was the shoe that they were wearing, and so like sort of everyone was just kind of following the D-boy trend back in the day. And and the shoe just kind of stuck, and it's been here ever since. And like, I don't know. I mean that sounds like a legitimate origin story to me. It always, like, that's always the way it's been told to me. But so like, I don't know, like, and then you can talk to folks from Baltimore because it's a thing up there too, and they have their own origin stories with it. And it's like, I don't know. I just know it's hot here. Like, that's all I know. So
New Balance is definitely hot in the DMV for sure. I know that, and I did hear similar origin stories. So you ain't speaking out of school. I think that's kind of a known thing. But we'll leave that as what it is.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you really are immersed in this, right? And you can tell that it's passionate for you. So the kicks you wear, like, first of all, love the title. Where did that come from? The kicks you wear, and then, what was your whole goal for starting this Substack newsletter?
Yeah, honestly, like when I started it back in October of 2019, I guess. I guess it was 20. I don't know. The days are running together. But whenever I started, like, I didn't really think that it was going to be a thing. Like, I thought maybe 30 people would read it, and like it would be something that it was something that I just wanted to do to kind of to give myself a platform to write about kicks. Because, like, I mean, being in media, like, I've covered everything from like politics to tech to general news, sports, like, but the one thing that I've always had a passion for, and one thing that I've kind of tried to really flex my writing muscles on is the sneaker industry. And like, I just felt like it was time for me to sort of give myself a place to get these thoughts off. And so I was like, okay, well, let me just start this newsletter. Like, everyone has a Substack now. This seems like a pretty cool thing. I like the platform. Let me try it out. And so I did. And people were really into it as an idea. And I was surprised, honestly, with how many folks were just like, yo, like, you should really do this. And I just was like, okay, like, here goes. Yeah, how the title came about, honestly, I was just like workshopping a bunch of different names, but like, I wanted the core function of the newsletter to be, not this sort of platform that broadcasts like hype beastie culture and like tells you which kicks are fire and what you should be trying to buy. Like, instead, I just wanted to inform people about the industry and how it's impacted by the global day-to-day things that we see in the news. I mean, the pandemic obviously is the big one. The whole NBA and China thing last year was another big one. But like, just kind of trying to take those global current events and tie them in with the industry to show people that, like, yo, like, shoes are not just, it's not just a hobby for people. Like, it is in some ways. Like, this is something that people love, but it's way more than that now, and it's something that you should definitely be paying attention to. So the kicks you wear came from me writing about the kicks that you wear and how they connect with literally everything else around you.
You have a segment of the newsletter that it's like a comment section where, like, it's like, all right, guys, here's the thing. Like, let's talk about it. Like, what has been some of the wildest things that have happened in like those conversations and discussions around the industry?
I mean, man, like, there have been so many threads where like people are just kind of going off. Like the trophy room one that we just did. Like, oh my good, people were so upset about. I didn't expect people to be that upset about it, because like, to me it was just taking another L. Like, right. I'm like, this is what
we should be used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're used to it now. This is kind of just the game and how it goes. But nah, they were just like, yo, this is a mess, yo. Like, I can't believe that this is the thing. Like, my homie Tommy, who reads the newsletter, he just went in. He was like, yo, I've done drops before. I've worked in e-commerce. This isn't how it should go. Like, you prepare for these things, and it's like he's right, and he's just going off, and I'm like, yo, like. I didn't think that this would get so you would be so passionate about this. But like I also appreciate it though, because that's kind of what I wanted that to be, is like a open space and a forum for people to kind of get their stuff off and let let it be known that they're upset, because like that's how it used to be, honestly. Like when we were on like Nike Talk and everything, and people would just like constantly complain about the way drops were going or not being able to get whatever. Like I feel like that's the thing that's missing from the game today, and like that's one of the things that I wanted to kind of bring back with that section. So it's it gets crazy sometimes, but I definitely appreciate it.
And we appreciate you keeping it real. I mean, I think that's what it is, right? I think a lot of people are very afraid to have those real conversations about things because of brands. But I think to your point, and you touched upon this a little earlier, it doesn't mean you like the brands less or you rock with them any less just because you're challenging some of the problems in the industry, right? And I think that's the big difference. But I think looking ahead, what kind of hype are you looking forward to that's still to come and hopefully does not have the same challenges as the trophy ones?
Man, so I'm a big dunk guy.
Okay.
And the free 99 dunks that are I have no idea when they're coming out, but I really love those. Like I don't think a release date has dropped yet, but like I'm really looking forward to those. And then just on top of that, I'm kind of just seeing like cuz like Nike was like at the end of 2020 when like the dunk was like still blowing up or whatever, they were like, yo, this is about to be the year of the dunk, everybody's going to get some, blah blah blah. And like now I still haven't bought any. And it's like I thought this was my year, y'all. Like I thought y'all said that this was going to be popular for me, and it's not. Like I couldn't even create my own dunk when y'all said I was going to be able to do it. And like I'm looking forward to seeing how that works. And then like on top of that, I think the other thing that I'm really looking forward to is seeing how. And I wrote about it in the newsletter today, but how sort of the sustainability kick that Nike is on is going to pop off between the ready-made Blazer and the Cosmic Unity that's coming out on the 26th. I think they've got a really good thing going with this whole space hippie wave that they're doing, but like I'm hoping that it expands in a meaningful way that isn't just like, yo, we're dropping this special silhouette here. Like I want to see that sort of normalized and become more part of what they do on their day to day, you know, instead of just seeing it, you know, Anthony Davis wear this dope looking basketball shoe that might just be a one off. Like we don't know.
Yeah, so. No, that makes total sense. And you know, to sort of wrap this segment, you know, the point about everyone saying, hey, you know, just because, you know, Gabby, you said just because we're having tough times securing these sneakers, doesn't mean you rock with these brands any less. And I'm going to butcher the great James Baldwin here, right? And he was talking about something much more important, right, in the world. But, you know, essentially talking about America. And he's like, it's because I love America so much that I have the right to perpetually criticize her, right? And it's the same thing with your sneakers, right? Obviously, what he's talking about, far more important in getting kicks.
Yeah.
But it's that same idea, right? It's because the passion and the love is so intense for this that you're like, that's where the criticizing comes from, because you want it to be the best version of itself. And right now, for so many people, it's just not that.
Yeah.
Well, folks, stay tuned, because coming up next is America's favorite segment, Shoe and Tell, presented by Another Lane, the premier digital marketplace for dope kicks. So stay tuned. What's up, y'all? We are back, and you know what time it is. America's favorite segment, Shoe and Tell, presented by Another Lane, the premier digital marketplace for dope kicks. And listen, y'all know we love Chad and Adina here, and what they're doing at Another Lane is incredible, man. If you're a collector, if you're someone who wants to get immersed in the culture and you've got these rare pairs and you're looking for a rare pair, that is the place you want to go. Now, one of the great things about Another Lane is, obviously, Chad and Adina, husband and wife duo, started it. Chad is, when I say sneaker historian, I don't mean like, all right, man, like he read some books and like whatever, he knows some stuff about sneakers. No, my friends, this is a PhD level, like W.E.B. Du Bois educated dude about sneakers. And you want to know about the history of white sneakers? Pfft, Chad will sit you down for an hour and tell you all about it. You want to know about cleaning your sneakers, and you ain't talking about Jason, Mark, and Crep Protect, who we love. Chad will be like, listen, my man, let me tell you about palm olive and a toothbrush, right? Like, you want to know about oxidation? I got you. Like, Chad is a genius. He is what I affectionately call the sneaker god on this show. He's incredible, and that's the kind of knowledge and perspective you have at Another Lane. I mean, his Twitter handle is Sneaker Galactus, for crying out loud. I mean, who gives themselves a handle Sneaker Galactus unless they know they're coming correct? And again, I dare anybody to find someone out there who knows more than Chad about sneakers, because you can't. It's him. Anyway, Shoe and Tell, presented by Another Lane. Michael, the floor is yours, my friend. What do you got?
Sweet. Okay, so let's start here with my Aqua 8s.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Yeah. Like I was saying at the top of the show, man, this was so this is actually the 2015 model. I think it was 2015 when this dropped. As you can see, like the purple and blue is a little bit more shiny, a little bit more. It has this little glitter to it, and then you got the gray on the heel. So the 07 version, it's completely black. It's not as shiny, but and that's honestly my favorite version. But like, I bought this in 2015, trying to recapture that magic from the 2007 drop. It is still my favorite J. I want to say that as far like the 8's not my favorite silhouette, but the Aqua 8 is definitely my favorite Jordan, just because of the sentimental value for me behind it. Like, I don't know, man. I could never give this shoe away, honestly. Like, I ran through my first Aqua 8s on the court, which was a terrible decision. But
I
anyway.
love it. Wait, Michael, before you go to shoe number 2, Gabby, do you notice, and we all do this, when you're talking about something and you do the whole like high pitch thing, you're like, do I really wanna? Right? Like, as Michael just did with the, I mean, we all do it. I think it's a funny thing that everybody does when we're talking about something. It's like, when you're unsure. I like it. Anyway,
Yeah.
good little note.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right here we got the Ray Guns from 2020.
Mhm.
This was definitely my favorite cop, but from last year, this is this is definitely my favorite cop. Nah, I just did it again. This is definitely my favorite
It's all
cop
good. It's all
last
good.
year. But the Ray Guns, the OG Ray Guns, that's one of my grails. The black, orange, and yellow joints. Like, so like I said, I'm a huge Dunk guy. Wale is my favorite rapper. He's got this line in this song called Kicks. The line goes, "Ray Guns on Young make police scared." When I first heard that, my mind like,
Don't mind me knocking things over here.
that's how my mind.
That sound effect, Jarod. There you go.
Knocking things over here. Good God.
No, but it was crazy though. Wale is like a huge inspiration to me in my sneaker journey. Like, he got me into Dunks. Really, he got me into just wearing kind of different colors and wearing things outside of Jordan. Like, because for the longest, like for me, it was just AI and Jordan.
Yeah.
So like Nike and Reebok, basically. It's like, it was just like, yo, like, there's way more to explore there, and that was this shoe's predecessor kind of inspired all of that in me. So again, shouts to the Ray Gun, shouts to the Dunk, shouts to Wale.
And Wale's a DMV guy, so I mean, come on.
Yeah, DMV guy, of course. The last one is Nike's ISPA Road.
Ooh.
Okay.
Just got this shoe this year for our video series special delivery that I do at USA Today, where we unbox shoes. And this was the first shoe that we did. And it's a wild shoe. Like, this shoe, I mean, look at this thing. Like, it's,
I was gonna say, hold that up one more time.
Yeah.
crazy.
It's got like the soul of a tank.
Yeah, right. Like, it's so wild and so, like, I don't even know how to like wear this thing or how to even like begin to like put this on, or like what outfit I would wear this with. But it's such an amazing shoe to me because of like all of the things that it comes with. Like, really, all of these pieces on here are sort of inspired by different things at Nike, as a lot of stuff from the ISPA line is. So like, this heel is from like the Nike Shocks, and this knit is from like the Vapor Max. This cage is like a Presto cage. Like, it's just crazy. It's so many shoes in one, and like, I really appreciate how ambitious this shoe is, and sort of the the time that it stretches across. Like it feels like a time capsule to me, and that's just really cool. Like I don't know, like I said, I don't know if I'll even ever wear this thing because I just don't know how. But like just to be able to like look at it and just marvel at it for a minute. It's just like really cool to me. I'll figure out how to wear it one day, but until then,
I feel like Jarod is probably going to tell you to pair it with some Balenciaga sweatpants.
See, why you always gotta go Balenciaga sweatpants? Like, ain't nobody said nothing about no Balenciaga sweatpants. Like, damn. But it's interesting that construction on those Nikes. Like, do you like sort of that? And I know you mentioned a lot of the utility stuff that Nike's doing. Do you like the way that the direction they're going in terms of forward looking? Because that's Nike's big thing, right? Innovation. That's always been what they promote and preach and why they are who they are in the sneaker game in many ways, right? Like that idea of, yeah, we kind of see things, one step ahead, maybe two steps ahead. Do you like these the way that they're maybe pulling from different areas and saying, okay, this is now our future?
Yeah, I do like it. I like that a lot. Like one thing that I really appreciate whenever any brand sort of does this is like, I like it when they think about the story or like the inspiration behind the shoe, like what it's built for, what sort of function it has. I believe like every shoe should have some sort of like core function, whether it's to like look good or to hoop in or to like run on a trail on. Like there should always be some sort of purpose to it. And this one I feel like is like a multi-purpose type of deal. And then like anytime you can look forward as a brand and sort of tie in different things that you're doing and make a new product out of it. Like that's the whole Adidas 2015 to like 2017 run was all of that. And like I just appreciated that era so much. Like I'm not even like the biggest Yeezy fan, but like what they did with all of that is just like so incredibly cold to me. It's just incredible. So like for Nike to put together a shoe like this one that is supposed to have such a wide range of capabilities and purposes, like I just think that's cool. Like if this is the future of footwear, like it looks kind of weird, but I can appreciate it though.
Like some jets and stuff.
yeah, for sure. Like, man, this shoe is weird. It even has like a split toe. Like, it's crazy.
Folks, that was Shoe and Tell presented by Another Lane. Definitely go out there and check out anotherlane.com, the premier digital marketplace for dope kicks. Michael, man, this was a pleasure. We enjoyed having you on. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter at Mike D. Sykes, really any social media platform at Mike D. Sykes. Subscribe to the Kicks You Wear at kyw.substack.com. That's where you'll find all my content. So
excellent. And folks, you know where to find us. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, at Kicks and Shit Show across all social media platforms, at Gabby Rosenthal, at Jarod Hector, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.
We out.